Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, when or wherever you may be. Folks, first of all, let me just say this. If my picture is a bit dark, it's very hot here. So I had to tone down on the lighting system here, but I think it's sufficient for you to see me I think the sound is also perfect. So let's carry on. Now, I have a couple of news prepared for us today, a couple of videos that I'm going to show you. Everything from the Ukraine war to Trump and a bit about the World Cup. I will talk about that later. And also some other news that I think are important, like the new EU migration policy, and also a couple of things more that we are going to be talking about. Now, first of all, uh, I'm also going to address the riots that have been happening in Belfast because I think it's an important news. Okay, it's an important theme that needs to be analyzed, that needs to be talked about. And if you also hear a couple of meows, well, it's because my little kitty, she's a bit needy and sometimes she just hangs around. Give me just 1 minute, please. Sorry about that. I just had to go and close the door of the room where I am because she has opened it as always. Here she is. Now, let's continue. But I'm going to be talking about the Belfast riots because I think it's important to talk about it. But I am not going to, however, to show any videos about it because I don't want to light up the fire more than it has to. And it is my opinion that these people want this to be seen. They are acting in this way, burning down houses with people inside. Okay, they are burning cars, doing searches of vehicles looking for foreigners. They are doing all of this because they really want to show themselves. They want to instill fear in other people, and I'm not going to be a part of their little circus. So, let's continue. This is the reason why I'm not going to show it. Also, about the World Cup. Um, Even though it would be important for me to watch the games of my national team, I'm not going to talk about it much, except a couple of videos here and there, like today, because I don't want to be a part of it. I'm boycotting it. I'm not watching the games. I don't buy the merch. I don't deal with it in any way. Because as far as I'm concerned, this is Germany in during the Nazi regime. This is what the United States is, and I'm not going to participate in the little Olympics. And I hope that the Olympics that are scheduled for the United States are cancelled, because if the Olympics also happen in the United States, I am also going to cancel it. And I think the rugby, or some kind of a rugby competition was also scheduled for 2031. I also hope that that is cancelled too. And my reasons are both ethical and also of my own ideas about this. I think this is a clown show. When you are banning people from entering your country because they are not of your political color or whatever, or they are not the right, they don't have the right shade of melanin for you, or they don't pray to the same God as you. that is completely perverting the meaning of the World Cup. And I will go into it, which is to bring people together and allow people to talk, to exchange ideas, even if they don't agree necessarily with each other, and all of that. And also because of the degree of corruption that FIFA has reached, starting with that little shit of giving Trump an invented prize because the man needs to win something. That is his logic. Is like a toddler. He needs to win something in order for it to be worth anything for him. And the price gouging, the dynamic price, also all of the gouging that is going on inside of the United States with the hotels, with the transportation, with the food, with all of that. They were just expecting fans from the world to arrive at the United States so they could bleed them dry of all the money they have. And this is the logic that is has happening in the United States. And please don't misunderstand me, okay? To hold an event such as a World Cup, it's very important. And of course, it's going to give a lot of money to the local people, to local businesses. Of course, it's going to make some things more expensive. But there goes a long way between exploiting and taking advantage in an economic sense of a situation. It goes a long way. And what is happening in the United States, what I see from the logic of the people, and even what they are doing to the tourists, also from their own country, all of that I see, they are clearly exploiting, and they see us foreigners as a source of revenue. The same with their president and all of that shit. So these are my reasons for not taking notice, let's call it like this, of the World Cup. If you have a different opinion than mine, you're free. Please, you can use the comment sections or even the chat. It's live, it's open to express your own opinion. Now, let's start with the Belfast riots. This is the first news I'm going to talk about it because I'm not going to show any videos about it. So let's start from the news that to me it's the most important. We have to see where these riots are happening. They are happening in a part of the world, in Europe, where problems have existed since the British Empire decided to invade and occupy Ireland. It's when they decided to install people there, when they decided to do a whole an entire type of cultural genocide. In my opinion, this is my opinion. You're free to deny it. You're free to say you're not right. I'm not right. When they tried to transform the Irish into something that they are not, which is English. But the UK also tried to do the same thing with Scotland. They failed miserably. They are doing it to Wales. I hope the Welsh people wake up in time to not allow it, but there is so much English element in Wales right now that I don't know how they are going to do it, but I hope that they are able to do it and preserve their own culture, a very rich culture, and their language, a very rich language too. But this started from there. You had things like the Great Famine that forced thousands of Irish people to abandon Ireland, many to the United States. Some even came here, ironically, and to go and look for a new place to settle because they were dying of hunger in their own land. It then continued with the political offenses, and it ended up with Churchill and his little general to spend their time in Ireland, burning down towns and doing harm to people. some say even killing people. Okay, this is all in the history book. If the English don't know it, and I'm talking about the English specifically, if the English people do not know what their kind did to the Irish, well, they should yeah, educate themselves. Because if I'm here in Portugal and I learned this in school benches, in international history classes, we in our learning system we learn both about our own country, Portugal, and the countries that are associated by it to us culturally. Like for example, Brazil. Brazil's history is the same as ours up until they became independent. This is an example. And also Portuguese speaking Africa and all of that, even Macau in China, Goa in India, all of that. You understand what I'm trying to say? We learn our history and we also learn international history. And sometimes we even dwell into a specific subject in school when we have work groups, meaning the teacher tells us to, for example, this is all happening right now. Okay, I'm being out of the school for a long time, but this still happens this way. The teacher will tell a group to, for example, make in international history, make a presentation about Ireland, for example. And also because of the Catholic element, because the Irish are majority Catholics, just like us, and these are things that have always connected us a bit, and it's normal and it's natural. Now, then you had all of the issues between the Protestants and the Catholics with the terrorism acts or freedom fighters acts, call it whatever you want, but to me it's terrorism. If you are bombing things, it's terrorism, no matter what you call it. And Sinn Féin and all of that, and then you have the relative peace to end the troubles, like they were called. You have this mixed creature that is Northern Ireland, that demographically it's becoming more and more Irish Catholic. The the loyalists, so to speak, they are becoming a minority. Northern Ireland is also the area of the United Kingdom with the least number of immigrants, of non-British people living there, and it's also quite a rough place. All right, and if we are going to be logic about it, I will tell you this: demographically, Northern Ireland is destined to cease to exist. Sooner or later, in one form or another, my conviction is that Northern Ireland will be integrated in the Republic of Ireland. What shape that will acquire, how it will be done, I have absolutely no idea. Maybe by becoming an autonomous region, whatever, but it's going to happen if because these tendencies, these trends, they are continuing this way. You have Ireland that is becoming a very important economic player, political player also, and you have United Kingdom that is in clear decline. I don't know if it continues this way, if the United Kingdom will survive the next 100 years. Maybe if the United Kingdom is able to settle things with Scotland in a way that Scotland remains, even if just on paper, in the United Kingdom. But I honestly don't see it how happening. But things change, and maybe it will, because you see, I have a dual position about this. In one hand, support and I have always supported the independence of Scotland for personal reasons, for ethical reasons, and in the other hand, I also understand the need that Europe has of a united front in the British Isles. This means that, for example, you can have a different United Kingdom that assumes a different way of ruling itself, and that does not take unilateral decisions based on the will solely of the English, like what happened with Brexit. The majority of votes were English. The English voted for Brexit, and Brexit happened. And they even decided it will not be a simple referendum telling the politicians what people would do. They decided this was the will of the people, and they made Brexit. And we all know how this story went, so let's not dwell upon it. But speaking about the riots now, the first thing you have to understand is that you cannot solely blame influence from the outside. You cannot blame this on MAGA, you cannot blame this on the Heritage Foundation, because you cannot blame this on Trump, you cannot blame this on Elon Musk, because these people, the entities, they are just the fire starters. They are taking advantage of issues that exist there already. I see them doing the same thing right here where I'm sitting here in Portugal. They are doing the same thing in France. They are doing it everywhere they can. They pick up an issue, and then they use that issue to create dissent, because that is the purpose. Divide to conquer. And this is something very important that people don't seem to understand. Those young men that are burning things because they are getting the kicks out of it, they are feeling important, they are feeling to someone is listening to them, they are feeling that someone is talking about them. Reason why I'm not showing the videos, I'm not going to do that. They feel their voice is being heard, and I'm not excusing their actions. It's absolutely monstrous to burn down the house with people in it, no matter what color those people are. Okay, and I'm also not justifying the action that led to that man being stabbed. I'm also not justifying the action of that person. And if he indeed did that, the person that did the stabbing, well, get him out of the country if he's not of your country, if he does not have your nationality. If he has the nationality of the country where you are, then charge him. But we got to be, and I'm going to be talking about the new EU's migration policy in this stream too. We have to be a bit more pragmatic in these types of things. But just like that boy Novak, he was stabbed and killed by that guy, that Indian British Sikh person, Sikh of religion. Just like he did that, just like that event was used to create more dissent, for Farage to scream bloody murder, trying to be even more brutal than Rupert Lowe in the Restore movement. These riots, they were based on the same premise of an attack against a local person. They don't care if Mr. Novak, as you can see by the name, is clearly of Polish origins. They don't care that the individual, the Indian individual that stabbed the Novak was a British citizen, is a British citizen, sorry, is a British citizen. They don't care that he is mentally unstable, that this is a person with mental issues, a person that is not in his complete sense. And I'm also, and again, I'm not excusing the actions, okay? I don't care if he's a loony. If he stabbed someone, he's a bastard, okay? Let's get this clear. That boy didn't deserve to be stabbed like that, and then he add up to that, on top of that, to the incompetence of the police that I have also talked about in another stream or video, I recall it. Add that up to that, and you have a perfect picture of incompetence in a state that does not listen to their citizens, okay? Because most of these people, they are unable to, instead of fighting a system that is designed to make them fail. The only outburst of will these people seem to have is to just scream. Okay, this is what they are able to do. They are not able to reason, because they are powerless, because they have no political force that represents them. And then you have these fringe parties that are not fringe anymore, that can come in and say your voice is important. I am listening to you. I am listening to your rage. I am listening to your voice. You matter to me. And then they tell that person, look, see that guy, see that foreign guy, it's him to blame. Let's get them. This is how demagogues work. In every period of history, you had demagogues that used issues within society to obtain power. Hitler did it, Trump did it too. Trump is feeding on the same anger. And I'm not justifying any of the actions of these people. I'm not saying that they should not have been more proactive and more able to understand who they were supporting, what movement they were supporting. Okay, I'm not that kind of guy that say, oh, the MAGAs, they are repented, they have repented, now take them in. No, that's bullshit. So these are people that discovered that what they believed would only happen to the Democrats or other people, the different one, the the dark skinned one, the different person from them. Yeah, those things that they believe that would only happen to those people are now happening to them, and that is why they are very repentant. And I have no Schadenfreude for it, okay? None at all. I have no pleasure in seeing other people suffering. The truth is, I also don't care about their issues because those issues are self inflicted. I say, live with it, deal with it, deal with it. You voted for him now? Okay, now don't vote for him. Try to get him out of power. But the truth is that America has a big disease, and we are going to be talking about that over the stream. uh, America has a big disease that is called self-entitlement and a dying superpower. But we saw that happen with the Soviet Union, and now we are watching it happen to the United States. But let's go back to the rights because I want to complete my reasoning before we move on to the other subjects of the stream. Now, as I was saying, these riots start with that base, with the base of people that maybe they don't have a job or anything to do. Maybe they feel anger. Maybe they feel that no one is listening to them, and maybe they feel like they are sitting in a crosswalk. And also, maybe they know that the environment in which they live, not Northern Ireland, is disappearing. That it has become obsolete in this world. They don't matter that much because times change and society changes, and like I told you, demographically, Northern Ireland is ceasing to exist. Soon it will just be Ireland, just out of simple demographic evolution. Culturally, yes, some things might remain, okay, just like English remained in Ireland. That has also has their own language, but that has English as a main language. Let's not kid ourselves around. The same thing with Scotland. Scotland also has their own language, but they also speak English, their own version of English, of course, just like Ireland, but not a foreign language. You have great writers, great writers that wrote in English from Ireland. You have all of that. So it's a part of the culture, and look, it is what it is. All right, but these people are now resorting to extreme violence, and they are being led on by people like Nigel Farage, like Rupert Lowe, that are competing for the attention and funds of the American terror funders. To me, they are terrorists. They are funding terrorist groups inside of Europe, and this is a discussion that we should have, because if those organizations inside of the United States and even the United States government itself is supporting and funding groups inside of Europe that are promoting these types of actions, then what is the difference between that and what they are accusing Iran, for example, of supporting Hezbollah and all of that? You tell me what is the difference? Why they are the good guys? The action is still negative. The United States has written in their own political great plan this idea of promoting the division inside of Europe to end the European Union and to have nice vassal states in Europe. They want to divide Europe with their buddy Putin, which is another subject that we also want to talk, because I'm going to talk about the absolute stupidity of most American Democrat YouTubers, that they do not understand what is happening in the East right now. They have absolutely no idea. They don't understand what is happening, and they keep talking about Europe like if they knew anything. There is this YouTuber, I'm going to mention him, not by name, but he uses a cowboy hat, that he knows a lot about a lot of things, especially inside of the United States. But when it comes to Europe, he knows jack shit, and Jack has left town. Sorry, but he doesn't know what he's talking about. He doesn't understand what is the meaning of the amassing of troops in the borders of Finland and all the Baltic states. He doesn't understand that Putin is simply recreating the military bases that existed there in the times of the Cold War, that he's trying to raise a new Iron Curtain, for the simple fact that Putin is losing the war in Ukraine. And also, he does not understand that Ukraine is not going to sit idly by and accept territorial concessions to Russia, because they are fighting for their bloody country. I don't think they don't understand. They don't understand this, what is happening. They keep applying their own American logic to Europe, and they don't understand that we are talking about two completely different places. Europe is not the United States. Even China has understood that. Even China has, in their political dealings, so to speak, they have understood they need to deal with Europe in a completely different way than what they deal with the United States, just like they have to deal with Canada in a different way, with the Mercosur and with all of that. But the United States, they continue with their self-entitlement, and they don't understand what is happening. Now, to conclude this part about the riots, I will talk about it again if it's needed, if this does not calm down. These riots, these events, are the perfect scenario for people. Like I said, I will mention them again because we need to recall these names: Farage and Rupert Lowe. These are people that are using and reform and restore. These are peoples and parties and movements that are using these events to prop up their own power base, to create loyal members, to create a base of power, to assault power and end democracy. And I know what you are going to say. Oh, you're overreacting. Of course, they will not end democracy. That's that. Okay, listen to them. Listen to the words that they are saying, and then tell me they are not preparing themselves to do that. Look, like I said, I will talk about this again if it's needed, but right now, let's get on with the stream. Let's watch a video, and this one is about what Ukraine is doing to win back their country. Let's listen.
Russia's initial invasion of Ukraine, launched 12 years ago, started with the annexation of Crimea, a strategically important peninsula in southern Ukraine jutting into the Black Sea. But with Ukraine's strengthened intensity and efficiency of drone strike campaign, Kiev is now trying to cut Crimea off from Russian control. The Ukrainian military sank several Russian warships in the Black Sea and at their Crimean bases. Ukraine has also methodically targeted munitions depots, airfields, and Putin's prized asset, the Kerch Bridge, the only link between annexed Crimea and Russia. The span was struck in October 2022, resulting in months of repairs. Now, Kiev is targeting Russia's ability to sustain its forces in Crimea, making military operations and Moscow's presence on the peninsula progressively untenable. Russia provides its forces in Crimea with petrol, diesel, and aviation fuel through three main channels: road and rail tankers over the Kerch Bridge, shipments by sea, and overland routes running through occupied parts of southern Ukraine. As Ukraine increasingly targets these links with drones and precision strikes, in a rare public acknowledgement, the Kremlin has recognized the scope of the problem.
Right. Uh, Ukraine is doing something that I think it's extremely intelligent on their part from a military point of view, from a strategic point of view. Just to mention, I will be dropping little notes in the stream so that you know when I'm talking about the determined subject. If you watch this if you don't watch this live, okay, I will keep the chat here and I will be dropping those little hints in the chat so that you can watch it later if you want. Now, as I was saying, Ukraine is doing a very important thing, a very intelligent method, and one that has worked always in the past. This means instead of attacking directly your foe, you attack the infrastructures and you attack their supply lines. This means that those troops are unable to sustain their defense. And if they cannot sustain their defense, they either retreat or they surrender. And given the wave of attacks that Ukraine is doing, they are effectively breaking down the Russian lines. It will not take long, given the number of people that they are losing, that Russia will have to retreat or reach some kind of a commitment. And at least this is what everyone hopes. But unless something changes dramatically in the battlefield, you are going to see that Russia is losing this war. This is something, like I said, that the Democrats don't understand. Democrats in the United States. They see a battlefield and they don't understand how things function inside of a battlefield. They are not, even them is, you have a couple of military commentators in the United States that do understand what is happening. Of course, they are competent people. But most of the people that analyze a battlefield, they don't understand that sometimes you fall back to your position so that your enemy is forced to go to you. This is what Russia is doing now in some areas, and intelligently, we also have to say that. And sometimes you do surprise attacks like this, and you start to destroy an entire. You see a weak point. In this case, the supply lines to Crimea. You see a soft spot, and you attack in there. And but if you try to talk about these things, sometimes pardon the joke, but they seem to be completely enveloped in fog of war, and they do not understand how these things work, and they give out the wrong impression, and then you have a couple of Western media news outlets copying this same speech, and in the truth, they are fooling themselves, and they don't understand what is happening in the battlefield. They say things like, for example, I heard this: "Oh, the Russians have filled the entire area in the east with ramparts and fortresses, and this and that," and the Ukrainians know it will be very costly for them to occupy those areas. My friend, if you cut off the supplies, like the Ukrainians are doing right now to Crimea, if you cut off the supply lines to those ramparts and to those fortresses and to those very elaborate defense systems, if you cut off the supplies, guess what? They will fall. It's as simple as this. And this is the logic that the Ukrainian army is applying. Putin knows it. He also knows that he cannot counter it. And no one seems to be taking heed about this. Now, I'm going to let you hear with another video. Now we are going to be talking about this attack to the Indian vessel by the Americans, and we are going to see the consequences of this attack. Okay, I'm going to have to leave you for a minute, but I will leave this video.
Family and friends gathered in grief to mourn a beloved husband and son. Shivanand Charusia was one of the 3 Indian sailors killed in US strikes on an oil tanker on Wednesday. They were not as fortunate as the 21 other crew members who were rescued.
Bring my husband back. Please bring the father of my children back.
The US military struck the empty Satabelo in the Gulf of Oman as part of Washington's efforts to enforce a blockade on Iran-linked shipping. It said the tanker was carrying Iranian oil and ignored repeated warnings, both claims the vessel's managers have denied. It's not the first time Indian nationals have become collateral damage in Donald Trump's war with Iran. Last Monday, Omani rescue teams evacuated 24 Indian sailors from an oil tanker also targeted by American gunfire in the Strait of Hormuz. And on Thursday, another oil tanker flying the Guinea-Bissau flag was targeted, the entire crew rescued, 20 of whom were Indian nationals. New Delhi has lodged a protest with Washington over the strike, summoning a senior US diplomat and calling for an end to attacks on commercial vessels in the region. The timing is particularly delicate. Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is set to hold bilateral talks with the US president on the sidelines of the G7 summit in France next week.
Okay, well, folks, as you can see, these are the consequences of a country that started a war with Israel, that has no idea how they are going to end it. However, in whatever fashion they end this war, the United States will have lost. They will, they will. How can I put this? They will pretend that they want something. Yes, we did everything that we were meant to do, but they are going to leave a sorry, but this really annoys me. Okay, because you know my father also died violently, and it was on the road. So when I saw those kids crying, you know, man, all the United States is going to leave behind in this shit is a trail of dead people, like those dead children in that school in Iran. All of these, the families of these people that have just died, the Venezuelan fishermen that were also murdered, they are going to leave an entire, they are going to leave thousands of people in countries pissed at them. And they don't seem to understand that right now India, for example, I'm pretty sure that Modi is going to talk with Trump and do all nice, and yes, let's have an agreement, whatever. But in the future, as soon as India can double cross the United States and put and stick it to them, they are going to do it. And I would not think badly of them for them to doing that, because this is absolutely grotesque. Oh no, boats is going because since Iran is not letting boats pass unless they pay them, and that is also not correct. But unless they pay them and are under their protection, any ship that tries to pass is bombarded. The Americans were trying to do the same thing, and they were trying to, oh, you want to pass? No, 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 the streets are blockaded, and they bombed the Indian vessels. All right, this is what Mr. Trump has been doing. It's a petty little fucking revenge that caused the fathers of those kids to die, and to send perhaps to send those families into further poverty, because this is something that you don't understand also, how Indian society works, how people works. I hope to God that these people are supported. In my view, it should be the United States to provide support for these families, because they are the responsible for this crime. Another one. Because you see, consequences have actions, and this is one of those news that should not happen. Now, before continuing any further, folks, let me just tell you this: all these videos are available at Euronews, and this last one in France 24. This stream is not monetized at all, so I'm not making any money out of other people's work, and links will be provided in the description of the stream so that you can go there, watch the videos, like the video, and give them the views that they need, that they should have, because it's important to talk about these things. Now, let's talk a bit about the World Cup situation, and let's watch this video about Mexico's missing persons crisis. Let's watch.
Contrasting emotions in Mexico City on the opening day of the 2026 FIFA World Cup. The city was torn between celebration and crisis. While fans danced in the stadium for the football tournament, more than 1,000 relatives of Mexico's missing people marched towards the venue carrying candles and photographs of loved ones who had vanished, many without a trace. Their message was simple: as the world's attention turns to football, they do not want the country's missing persons crisis to be forgotten. According to official figures, more than 130,000 people are registered as missing in Mexico. The number has steadily increased over the past 2 decades, coinciding with the expansion of organized crime groups and the intensification of Mexico's drug war. Many disappearances are believed to be linked to criminal organizations involved in drug trafficking, extortion, and human trafficking. Victims may be abducted, forcibly recruited, killed, or buried in unmarked graves. Activists frequently face threats from criminal organizations and have criticized what they describe as inadequate government support and protection.
Another tragedy. The situation in Mexico has been going on for decades. Decades, and they don't seem to be able to tackle it. And this has to do with, unfortunately, having the neighbor that they have to the north, United States, that continuously demands drugs, that has an interest in keeping Mexico unstable and easily controlled. And I think President Sheinbaum, I think she's doing the right job. I think she's going the right way. But these people deserve to have an answer. Because let me be clear about this. and if you don't know this, you should know this, there has been a high degree of interlinking between corruption, the state, and the cartels themselves. In some aspects, ironically, cartels have provided stability to certain regions, and the price that they demand is very high. The price is loyalty to the cartel, and this loyalty to the cartel, it has consequences, and the consequences are that you cannot deny the cartel of whatever they want or whatever they need from you. And this then creates a degree of corruption uh, between the state, the cartels, and the people themselves. Noel, it's not recorded, okay? Hello, good afternoon. It's live. I'm here. I'm just trying to keep my reason now. So the reasons for what is happening of all these events in Mexico, they have to do with the society itself, but it also has to do with the foreign influences. And the foreign influence is the simple fact that you have a very rich state to the north that, as I said, demands drugs, demands a degree of obedience, and that has an interest in keeping you weak and divided. I'm not saying that if tomorrow the United States stopped being that great power that is influencing the government of Mexico and the government, the Mexico itself, I'm not saying that if that disappeared tomorrow, Mexico would instantly be perfect, because that would be not true. Mexico has its own problems. It has problems, for example, between the majority of the population and Indian minorities and all that lies between. And they will have to eventually deal with that. But detaching themselves from the United States, like these economic agreements that they have done with the EU, for example, it's a great way to solve their issues. L, okay? I'm not a ghost. No, it's I just have a little reduced light because it's very warm where I am, okay? And I want to keep my fan at an acceptable level, and so I have reduced the lights a bit. And you can distract me as you want, as much as you want, okay? No problem. Now, my conclusion is that Mexico, it's going to take a long time to solve this, okay? But I think with a bit of perseverance, with a bit of method, and also with the support, I think the EU can really have a part in this, in trying to solve, trying to help the Mexican economy to be better. Canada also a very important role in all of this. I think with the support of all of us, maybe Canada will be maybe Mexico will be a better place tomorrow. But at the end of the day, to me, in my opinion, it will be up to the Mexican people. They will have to decide how they want to live. Now, like I said in the beginning of the stream, I'm not going to make a lot of videos or comments about the World Cup because I'm boycotting it, but we are going to watch a little video from Euronews that is going to explain to us, in their perspective, why are the World Cup tickets so expensive. Let's watch.
this World Cup, for the first time, FIFA is pricing each game separately, a popular game versus an unpopular game. But also they use this strategy called dynamic pricing, where they also adjust the prices in real time, depending on the demand that they're observing.
Now, this was a very simplistic explanation for why the ticket prices are so high. And I feel like we have to elaborate a bit on it. The dynamic system of pricing the tickets that FIFA invented so that they could remove a part of the portion of the profit from the people that were reselling the tickets, and to have some kind of control in order to receive direct profit, meaning instead of selling, for example, the tickets at a fixed price to someone that is going to sell them to whatever, okay, at whatever price, they decided no. As people buy the tickets, if they buy more tickets, if the number of tickets is reduced, then we are going to increase the price. Why? Because this way FIFA earns more money with the tickets. Now they see themselves in a situation where some people bought the tickets at the regular price, so to speak, and then were trying to sell them at that dynamic price level, and they are finding no one will buy them because they are too expensive, and also because of what is happening in the United States. Now, let's go to that point. A lot of fans, even the referee, that Somali referee, even the referee has been banned from entering in the United States of America. And they don't give any reasons. The only thing that Clown Giuliani talked about, was, oh, these are very bad actors and we had to cancel them. This is the reasons that they gave. They didn't explain security reasons. Security reasons. What security reasons? It's a referee. What is he going to do? Put a bomb inside of a football ball or something like that? All ridiculous reasons. Also a lot of prejudice. Also a lot of not even understanding what the World Cup is, how important it is. And also, like I was saying also in the beginning of the video, one of the reasons why I'm boycotting the World Cup, I'm not even watching the games, a lot of gouging. They look at the people that are going to the United States, watch the games, as ducks to be slaughtered. If indeed Dr. Mel is in the chat, sorry. No. But they see people that go to the games as that. People that are to be exploited to the max. Hotels, the price tripled or 4 times more in some cases. Okay, transportation, the tickets, food, everything going up to incredible levels. Because for them it would be like this: we would go to their country, they would extort whatever quantities of money they wanted from us. FIFA, they thought the same thing. These idiots are going to pay whatever prices we tell them to pay for the tickets. And the Americans will say, whoa, we are going to really get get going on that money, especially euros. But the truth is now, and I only saw that to know what I'm talking about. But you saw what happened in the game of South Korea and the Czech Republic, etc. Empty seats, and this is going to be something that is going to happen all over in all games of the World Cup, and they are going to mask it as some kind of great victory. Make no mistakes about it. They are going to mask it as a great victory. But the truth is, it won't be. But for the Americans, I don't know. I honestly don't know, because if they are watching Fox News, this is a great success. But again, I will not be talking very much about the the FIFA Scheiße. Now, let's watch a little some videos now. I have here, let me see, I have 2 videos of your favorite orange blob, the Fanta Fuhrer himself, Mr. Trump. Let's watch this little video.
US President Donald Trump on Thursday said the US military would continue carrying out strikes on Iran and threatened to seize the country's vital oil infrastructure. In a post on his social media platform Truth Social, the US president threatened to take over Karg Island, a key node in Iran's oil exports. Karg Island is central to Iran's oil exports, and any attack on its energy infrastructure could also have serious consequences for global oil markets that have been already pushed to the brink. About 90% of Iran's crude oil exports leave the country via the island, with much of it heading to China and other Asian markets. Trump's post comes after the US and Iran traded strikes for a 3rd day, pushing the Middle East closer to the resumption of a full-scale war.
Now, what a wonderful world we are living in, right? They continue to move around the pieces in a chess game that the United States has already lost. The latest news that I heard here in Portuguese news is this: that Pakistan has said there are just a couple of things that need to be taken care of before they reach the so-called agreement. And the so-called agreement is a capitulation of the United States in the region. I think one of the things that it will include is that Iran and Oman are going to police the so-called the straits. They are trying to see how if they cannot impose a toll. The coalition of countries led by France and the United Kingdom has said clearly that they are not going to accept a toll, and the Iranians don't want to piss off the rest of the world. And if they did that, they would be pissing off the rest of the world. They want, however, to maintain a degree of control and something that gives them some kind of guarantee that this is not going to happen ever again. And the truth is, no one can guarantee them that, but you can put into place mechanisms, guarantees that will make it expensive enough for someone not to meddle with that and leave things just as they are. My idea, I think that Trump really needs to have like personally seeing here in the chat, he needs an extension on the negotiating period. But personally, let me tell you this: he's not scared to capitulate. He's big, and I'm going to explain why I say this. Let me explain this. Trump is not afraid to capitulate because he is going to wrap it up in another way. He already knows that he's losing the support of his MAGA crowd, And he's just look. He wants. He just want. The man. He just wants to get out of there. Simply, as simple as this. He knows that he knows. It's a bit hard for me to talk about he knows because I have this feeling that he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing. Okay, the people behind him, they know what they are doing, but in this point of the story, I think Trump is more like his father that was sitting at the desk making negotiations and agreements and great business moves that did not exist. In my opinion, Trump is going down that road. This is the reason why it's all of this spectacle. That in one day he says he's going to destroy Iran, in the other day they say we have a deal. I think it's around with this. I think it's 39 times that he has said that he has an agreement. And the point is this: this has to end. This has to end because the rest of the world is getting really pissed about this. The rest of the world is losing a lot of money, and the irony behind this is that the country that has been keeping the oil market balanced is China. What can I say? And look, you have heard me talk about China in the past. You know that I'm no friend to authoritarian regimes. I understand what China is. But I also understand that China wants to keep business flowing. They want wealth. They want influence. They know that the United States is on their way out. And they want to have a position in which they will have a lot of middle powers and China as the strongest. This is what China wants. If they are the strongest, but the other middle powers know that if they all gang up on China, they can defeat China, but they won't. China is in their ideal position, the position that they have always wanted. And this is something that American Democrats and a lot of European people don't understand. I have heard commentators right here talking about that. There are some that know what is happening. And they have pointed out precisely that. They have pointed out the fact that China wants that position. And in a sense, they already have it. If you want to negotiate something outside of your country, you have to deal with China in one way or another. That is why you are going to have Chinese cars in the United States sooner or later. They are already in Canada. They are also here. They are everywhere. German companies are already building factories in China. This is a part of the strategy of the EU also, which is to move in also into the Chinese economy, just like they did in the United States, building factories and manufacturers inside of the United States. You have European car manufacturers producing European cars inside of the United States. They are done in a way to suit the American market. And this is what is going to happen, okay? And we cannot look. I cannot tell you this. Tomorrow they are going to reach an agreement. I cannot tell you this, of course not, because when we are dealing with a type of government that is completely unstable. Yes, exactly, person in person. And I was listening to, I was even listening. Look, was in the radio, and well, might as well tell it. I went on a night drive, okay, just to relax my head a bit. And I was listening in the radio, a political commentator here in Portugal. He was talking about it, and he was saying that. He was saying that about how China is balancing the world while the United States is having a tantrum. This is exactly what is happening. But this won't come cheap for the United States. I can also tell you that. Because the way the American economy is going, the Americans are not going to be able to sustain their military. I think I even have here a video that I'm also going to show you. I might as well show it to you right now. Let me just find it first. I'm going to show you right now a video of France 24 in which they say what the US is planning to do. They are already slashing military units and operational units, so to speak, in Europe. I'm going to show you the video right now because I think this is important for us to take a look at it. Let's watch this video.
The New York Times is this Friday reporting that the US is planning to slash the number of fighter jets and warships it provides to NATO allies in Europe. The reported cutbacks come as European nations race to bolster their defence capacities in the wake of Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022 and fears that Moscow could one day soon attack a NATO country. Well, for more, I'm joined now in the studio by our international affairs editor, Rochelle Ferguson. Good to have you with us, Rochelle.
Hi, Hex.
What more do we know at this point to pull US fighter jets out of NATO?
Well, look, what we know is that the United States has prepared, or is preparing, we should say, to significantly reduce the aircraft and warships that it previously made available to NATO, particularly for its operations in Europe. Just for our viewers, that includes then strategic bombers, fighter jets, drones, submarines, and of course these all important warships. Now, that news, it's worth saying, isn't new to allies. That was communicated to them earlier this month. It's since then been kind of picked apart by the New York Times, hence this article that we've been referring today. Senior European officials have then gone on to confirm that information under the condition of anonymity, because of course this is all very sensitive information. What's clear though, once again, Hax, is this ramping up of efforts to scale back help and protection for European allies after the United States has done so for at least 80 years. I mean, I hear you asking why should we care? Why is this important? Well, let's bring something up for you that might interest you. In the event of an attack on a NATO ally, what that would mean with the removal of some of these aircrafts and also warships, NATO's ability to launch long-range strikes. Now, if you think of Tomahawk missiles that need to be launched into Russia in the event, for example, of Russia attacking a NATO ally, that would be significantly reduced. And also this really important question that we're seeing today, you know, geopolitically speaking, conducting surveillance, NATO's ability to conduct surveillance, for example, monitoring Russia's submarine traffic, for example, all of that would be significantly reduced because of, you know, these plans to pull a third of fighter jets that the US currently provides for NATO's. Let's give you some other more concrete details on this. So coming out of this document that I made reference to before, again, I hope we can bring up on your screens what exactly is going to be cut. The number of F-16s, again, a key aircraft, will be cut, as well as F-15 E-fighter jets, I should say, down from 150 to 100. So pretty big slashing of those aircrafts there. Maritime I can never say this word.
Reconnaissance.
Thank you. Reconnaissance aircrafts from 26 to 15. And of course, all 8 aerial refueling tankers, once again assigned to Europe, will no longer be within European waters. They will be, one would imagine, directed elsewhere. This could be, you know, a military pivot for the United States towards the Indo-Pacific, which we know is increasingly interesting to the US for its strategic future. And also, just one last thing I'll draw your attention to, the missile-capable submarine, well, one of those, an aircraft carrier, as well as many carrier-based aircrafts are also being sent to other regions. So you can see a real shifting here within this slash of US kind of military apparatus that was once so key to NATO allies here in Europe.
Now, let me just focus the camera here a bit. All right. As person impersonator was saying here, in the chat, yes, Lockheed Martin and Raytheon have been losing a lot. I have been listening in to the moanings of the American industrial military complex, and it's not pretty. They thought that they could push their way in to the safe fund here in Europe, to the rearming of Europe, and what they found is that Europe is buying in-house Griffins, Rafales, the French nuclear umbrella, you name it. You have Germany as the world's largest producer of ammunition right now. Impressive. They are also building armored vehicles and tanks and all of that, and light weapons, meaning Europe is really rearming at an accelerated pace. Because you see, the idea of the United States is this: we are going to force them via NATO to buy our shit. And the military complex, when it was working for them, they were all for it. Yes, do it, Donald, do it. This would mean that, for example, we would have to buy their shit to rearm ourselves as they remove their own assets. But what is happening is a very interesting thing, and I think it's rather ironic, and it's this. What is happening is that Europe is indeed rearming, but they are replacing NATO in a lot of key aspects. They are making bilateral agreements, multilateral agreements, like for example France with United Kingdom, Poland with Germany, the Baltic states with Finland, all of this, okay? Portugal with Spain and Italy to the protection of the Mediterranean, for example, with France. A lot of things are going on. And the American military complex, they are seeing this and they are thinking, we are losing the investment, because right now they are still maintaining a lot of American hardware that is here. Let's not forget about this, okay? They are maintaining the jets, the fighter jets. They are maintaining, for example, the tanks, a lot of things. For example, I'll give you this example. Okay, Portugal does not have its own tanks. The tanks that we have, I think they right now. I don't know if they are Americans, but they are American-made tanks. We don't have many, but we have enough for our country. But for example, the only thing that we produce in-house is our armored vehicles that happen to be very good and that happen to be being bought by other countries. Also, we have a lot of military cooperation with Brazil in terms of airplanes, transport airplanes, and a lot of stuff. Okay, let's just say that Portugal is that kind of country that goes to wherever they need to get what they need. Meaning, we don't. When a country is smaller, you don't have you don't have that autonomy to say, no, we are going to build everything here. Okay, no, we are even producing drones. But let's continue with this point, because I want to, let me just make a minor adjustment here. Okay. Let me just go to this point. The key issue here is that the American military industrial complex is seeing that they are losing to the future. What does this mean? If you are not selling me your military hardware now, okay, I won't need maintenance. I won't need your maintenance in the future. And maintenance contracts, they will end as the military hardware that is American that we have is replaced by military hardware from elsewhere. And then you have all of your allies aligning to do exactly that. You have Canada, that still is going to buy the new American jets, and I understand them why. They plan to make a half-half of American jets and French-made jets in Canada themselves. But given that that American industrial military complex depends on parts and on know-how that comes from other countries, which is ironic, and that know-how is now being used in weapons produced in Europe or in Canada, in this case, for example. The truth is, they are seeing the writing on the wall. And more important than that, their investors are seeing the writing on the wall. The money man. And what is the money man doing? Moving where they are going to make money. They are sending their funds. Let's say you come to Portugal. This is an example, okay? Or France or Spain replace Portugal with whatever country you want. You come to Portugal. You create a company. All right. You pay your taxes. You obey the laws of Portugal, for example, and you start producing weapons. And you transfer all of your know-how that you had in the United States, where you were producing them with all of those elements that you need, exterior elements, the know-how, the parts, and all of that, and you do it here. Why? Because this way you can access the safe mechanism. A lot of American companies are trying to do that in the UK. And the UK was trying to access the safe mechanism, but they were unable to access the safe mechanism because of the stupidity of the British negotiators that are still trying to cherry pick everything, and they cannot understand that there's no cherry picking. Okay, this is how things are. You either want it or you don't want it. But that is a subject for another video. Okay, let's not dwell into that, or else I will be ranting here for an hour. As time progresses, and this is the important point that I want you to understand. You cannot look at this perspective that Europe still has a lot of American weapons. Now they are removing their means. No, all of these means, all of these fighter jets and all of this that they are removing from Europe, they are going to be replaced by things made here. And these are not things that are not here. You already have them here. A lot of this shit that they were talking about, France already has. This is an example. Poland also has, because Poland is learning their lesson, because just recently they wanted to remove the Tomahawks from Poland to send into the Maya in the Straits of Hormuz. So Poland is also waking up. I also know this from my country, that the aerial defense system that we are going to need to install in some cities in our country, they are not going to be Americans. And the Americans were here. And the Israelis were here. Yes, the Israelis, they were here too. But I think they did not like the answer that was given to them. Because you see, when the riots happened here in Portugal, and I'm going to explain this now, people were protesting. And a group of infiltrators, far left in this case. You have to understand that here in Portugal, the far left acts a lot like the far right in other countries. We are a bit of a weird country in that aspect. But the far left here is more extreme than the far right. Weird, I know, but it is what it is. Maybe someday I will explain it to you, but it's very difficult to understand if you are not Portuguese. But let's continue. A group of individuals, I think it was a woman and four men or something like that, they infiltrated the manifestation of the workers, and they started to create havoc, burning cars and doing some trash cans, containers, trash containers, and all of that. And then, in the midst of that entire confusion, they discovered that an Israeli delegation, meaning a couple of people from Israel, they went to the Portuguese Parliament and asked for a hearing with the president of the Parliament of our Republican Parliament of our Parliament, okay? And people went absolutely ballistic. The police had to block off the streets where the Israeli diplomats were coming from, because people, as soon as they knew that they were there, they immediately, a lot of protesters, they went there because they wanted to protest against Israel. And the media here, they tried to associate that to those agents provocateurs that were in the midst of the manifestation, to create havoc, because that is what they were. Therefore, they were detained. I don't know what happened to them, but they could not hide the fact that the people don't want them here. And the government, they listened to the people. You want to know why? Because the government wants to be elected. The Portuguese government, they want to be re-elected to their position. So they are not going to make any deals with them. I'm not saying that they might just turn a blind eye on something, but if you go to the United Kingdom, it's even worse. If you go next door to Spain, they are worse than us and not turning the blind eye. If you go to Germany, they turn a blind eye and whatever. The main point that I want you to remove from this is that you cannot look at this as something that is happening now. You have to look at this as something. I ran away, sorry. You have to look at this as something that will have an effect in the future. Because in the future, for example, you will not have American companies maintaining, I don't know, fighter jets in Finland. This is an example. You will not have that. You will have European companies, or with headquarters in Europe, because Europe is not shy out of cooperation with Canada, with Australia, with New Zealand, with South Korea, with Japan especially. Okay, we are not shy from that. So you might have a situation in which you will have companies that are working in all sides in those countries and cooperating in the military defense of Europe. That is absolutely not something that you should be surprised about. But that money, that American military complex, and that know-how, which is even more important, the Americans are losing it, and they will not be able to sustain this army that they have now, and they will not be able to adapt quick enough to the world we are living in. Ukraine was forced to adapt with the drone warfare. You now have a situation that is absolutely unheard of, in which you have, in one hand, a type of trench war that existed in World War I, because the mechanized infantry cannot advance that quick. Okay, they are sitting ducks in the middle of the field. This is the truth. They are useful to break in, to do their job, but they cannot sustain a quick war. This is why Putin arrived at the doorstep of Kiev, and then he was kicked to the east again, because the Ukrainians understood that they could fight the war in a different way, because they had to. It was adaptive defensive. And now the Ukrainians are using the drones, and they are creating an entire different type of war. Russia more or less is adapting, but they don't have the know-how and the means for it. They are using China, they are using Iran to prop up their own business. But the country is ruined. Economically, Russia is ruined. And in terms of the human factor of manpower, Russia is also ruined. Around 6 million people have left the country. Sober numbers say that they have lost at least 1,700,000 people in Ukraine. Sober, meaning not very pessimistic numbers. I have heard in the order of 2 million dead. That is entire generations. Destroyed for the future. And this is something that I am going to be talking about either in a stream. I would prefer to talk about this in a stream or in a video. But we are going to talk about it. Now, folks, I'm going to continue because I want to finish this up before 7:30 at least. So now let's watch another little video of Mr. Trump and the consequences of what he is saying in this little video right now had to his own political position. Let's listen to Mr. Trump again.
We hit him with the B-2 bombers.
U.S. President Donald Trump brushed off concerns on Wednesday about consumer inflation surging to a fresh 3-year high in May on the back of soaring energy prices caused by his war in Iran. Instead, Trump praised the numbers, claiming relief was on its way because of a secret military operation to sneak oil through the Strait of Hormuz.
The numbers were great. You know what I really love? I love the inflation. You know why? Because as soon as this war is over, you know, I can say it now. Something you didn't know. Do you know we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil? Nobody knows it. You know who doesn't know about it? Iran, until right now. Oh, when the war is over? Yes. It's coming down. I know you can't. It's going to come down like a rock. And again, we're taking out millions, which I'm just announcing today for the first time. But we've been taking out millions of barrels of oil. Millions of barrels.
Trump had pledged in his 2024 campaign to quickly vanquish inflation, but his argument now is that higher prices are solely a function of the Iran war raising energy costs. But economists have disputed that claim, with oil prices expected to take months to return to pre-war levels, depending on when hostilities end.
Ooh, I love inflation, Mr. Trump. Well, that sure went down smiling down the roads in America. You know, this simple statement by the Führer has lost him so many votes and so much support. This has been worse, I would dare to say, than the Epstein files. This is my opinion. Because you see, when he says that he loves inflation, this is how this is translated to the common person in the United States. He loves to make money out of our misery. He loves that I have to pay more for my groceries and my energy and my gas. He loves it when I'm suffering. And you know, there are a lot of MAGA people that are still tooting the old MAGA hat, red MAGA hat. Okay, there are still those people. They are saying, yes, he's right. We are going to make a lot of money with this, and we are going to be better. Blah, blah, blah. But those people are idiots, because most people understand what inflation does to the price of your basket. Any of us here in this chat, from what I have seen you write or say, any of us know that if inflation is higher, I'm going to pay more for my goods, because the prices will also rise with inflation. This is a natural consequence. This is an economic consequence. And even a dumb idiot in the United States that doesn't understand what the hell a tariff is will understand that inflation being higher means me pay more. And this simple statement should also tell the Americans that this guy is sitting there to enrich himself, the people that support him, and his family. He has more money in these I think 18 months or something that he is a president, something like that. He has earned more money in these months than he earned in his entire life, and he's going to bankrupt. Look, I'm going to be more blunt. He is already bankrupting the United States for his own profit, and he doesn't care. Things like, for example, his little daughter and his son-in-law buying buying that island in Albania in order to enrich themselves. I'm going to show you a video about that. I'm just putting it right here so that we can talk a bit about it. What the Trump family is doing, and the Trump associates like Peter Thiel, that already has left for Argentina. He's probably right now closing up to Malay. Yes, funny. People like that are already running away. They are looking for escape routes. This is why, going back to that part when we were talking about Iran, Trump wants a way out of this. Even if he has to suffer a defeat, he's going to mask it as a win, anything, to keep himself in power. And let's see what will happen during the primaries. Because if the Democrats win the primaries, which they think it's certain, but I am not that sure. I'm not that sure, let me tell you. Because I don't even, I'm even listening to conspiracy theories that say that Trump didn't even win these elections right now. But I don't know, those are conspiracy theories and I don't do them. If anyone can show me facts that prove that, please do so. But what I'm trying to tell you is this: the man does not care about his own country. The only thing that he cares about is leaving a ballroom that after he is dead, people will demolish. He wants the triumphant arch. He wants all of that shit. He wants to polish his own ego. And I will repeat what I said in the beginning of the video. I think that he's getting like his father. He's just he will end up like a lunatic sitting at an office, making business deals that don't exist and talking with people that are not there. This is what happened to his father, and I have the feeling this is the same thing that will happen to him. But that's another story. Now, speaking of the island in Albania, I'm going to show you now another little video, and it says, Albania's PM doubles down on claims of Iranian cyber terrorism as protests continue. Let's take a look.
Thousands of Albanians took to the streets of Tirana on Wednesday night for the 10th consecutive day of protests against a planned luxury development on an uninhabited island, demanding the resignation of Prime Minister Edi Rama. Gathering at Iskenderbe Square before marching towards Parliament, the crowds chanted against both Rama and former Prime Minister Salih Berisha. The nationwide demonstrations began to protect Sazan Island and the Pishepora area from a project funded by US President Trump's son-in-law, Jared Kushner, but has since expanded into a wider movement. Protesters have advanced 5 key demands, including the government's resignation and the reversal of amendments to laws governing protected areas and cultural heritage. The government maintains that the Adriatic Coast project is transformational for the nation's high-end tourism market and its push for European Union membership. However, the European Commission urged Albanian authorities to act without delay to avoid undermining Chapter 27 of its accession talks, which requires alignment with European environmental rules. Prime Minister Rama previously stated the backlash is being driven by bots and external forces. Organizers stated the protests will continue in the coming days.
Of social media for pushing false narratives.
Eddie Rama, what are you doing, my friend? The PM of Albania has to understand this simple truth. Everything Trump or his family touches transforms into shit. And the EU is telling Mr. Rama to basically, they are telling him in another way, a more polite way, to stop dealing with the Trumps. It's as simple as this. Because if he does so, it will have consequences on Albania's accession to the EU. This is exactly what they are telling. Because you see, we around here, we have very strict rules about the environment. There have been recently a lot of developments here in South Portugal being completely annihilated by the regulations. A lot of foreign folks coming here, buying houses, and then wanting private beaches. And then the people first, the people tell them to fuck off. You are not going to stop me from entering in the beach. And secondly, they find themselves with the local authorities on top of them, kicking them out. And some of them have even tried, I'm talking about our experience here, some of them even tried to bribe the local authorities and then found themselves in a nice, cozy jail cell or expelled from the country altogether. And I can tell you that some of them were Americans. John Malkovich, that has houses here in Portugal. He has one in that tourist area called, if you want to, it's Comporta. I will write it here in the chat for you to, if you want to Google it or. Okay, it's Comporta from the city of Grândola. Okay, he talked about it, and he said that he was saying I didn't do anything of that, because he didn't. Okay, he bought an old farmhouse, let's call it like this. It's what we call here in South Portugal monte, which is a bit confusing for foreigners, because monte means hill, but hill here in South Portugal is a rural property, meaning it's a rural house with a piece of land that you can plant in, and they vary in size. But what people have been doing, they sell the houses for anyone to use as their little vacation getaway, and they keep the land to continue to farm. And they buy a house inside of the city, inside of the town or whatever, where they have better conditions. This happened a lot. Right now, it's reversing a bit. But the situation that is happening right here, right now, in Albania, okay, I understand it. Because once in the early 80s, Portugal was at this level of corruption. So I know it. I'm effing old, okay? I'm 51, so I know. I was alive at the time, and I remember how things got done here. And sometimes things got done by putting in that time our coin was the escudo, by putting a little some bills, some escudo bills in an envelope and giving it to someone. And this was normal, and this was something that happened all the time. Luckily, the people themselves, us and the EU, came along and we corrected this situation. And right now, if you try to do this, like I was telling you the story about John Malkovich, it will happen to those people that John Malkovich knew. They are going to get expelled from the country. And some of them were quite famous people. Even Madonna. Even Madonna tried to do some shit around here, like for example, entering with a horse inside of a royal palace here that is a national monument, and she was very shocked when she was fined and told you cannot do that. This is just a minor example, and this is the reason why Madonna left Portugal, and to tell you the truth, we don't miss her. Okay, bye bye. It seems that her children were nice, but their mom was not that nice. But that's another story, and it's quite an old story. But what Albania is now finding is this: if they go through this project, which they might go through with it, they will find themselves on the all-seeing eye of the EU and with the protests of their citizens. My idea is that if Eddie Rama was smart enough, he would just call the project off, ask the EU for funds to replace this, and tell them, look, I cannot go through with this project in the island, but I need to develop it in some way. I need to rent. I need to pay the investors off. So how can we negotiate this? This is basically what's going to happen. At least it's my idea. But you folks in the chat, you can you can tell me about it. Now we are going to talk about something that might interest people in the United Kingdom, and because this will have effects on the United Kingdom too. It's about the new migration policy inside of Europe. It's going to become more restrictive, and I'm going to show you 2 videos about it that will explain this a bit better. All right, let's watch.
7 days and store biometric information in a database. The screening aims to determine. The European Union's new immigration and asylums reforms have come into effect on Friday after months of political wrangling. The new rules are designed to boost member states' autonomy in response to efforts to cases of irregular migration after several EU countries protested the old policy, calling it ineffective. The reforms are set to beef up security screenings at the border points in a major way. Member states can now undergo identity and security check processes lasting up to 7 days and store biometric information in a database. The screening aims to determine who should receive an accelerated or a normal asylum application process and who should be returned to their home country or a transit point. The new measures will also roll in a new fast-track rejection model where decisions can be carried out expeditiously in a matter of days. A solidarity mechanism is now also in place to ease the burden off nations who receive the bulk of migrants, like Greece, Italy, and Malta. Other countries are now expected to take on at least 30,000 asylum seekers a year under this new relocation system, or opt out by paying €20,000 per migrant for another country to process. Critics say the new system will de facto result in increased detention times for migrants and are designed to prioritize speed over international obligations, forcing humanitarian concerns to take a backseat.
Now, before we go into the next video, let me just explain this. This does not alter the policy itself. It alters the way the policy that was decided inside of the EU Commission and the EU Parliament, it alters the way that is applied. And it hurts me to say this, but I have to say this. Countries don't have, the countries that are receiving the bulk of the migrant population, they do not have enough capability to deal with it. And this offers a way of solving the issue. And I know we are talking about people, I understand that, but we also have to understand this. Can the countries support this level of migration? And the answer is no. And this has nothing to do with racism. This has nothing to do with that, okay? This simply has to do with the fact that if we cannot take care of these people, then we have to offer them solutions. And also we have to have a more careful screening of people. And again, I will repeat this again and again and again. This has nothing to do with people fleeing persecution for religion or all of that crap, okay? Europe is not going to close the doors to all of those people. What we are going to do is to filter them more. And I'm talking about the policy, okay? I hope that it all goes well, but it has the potential to not going that well. But you also have to understand things like, for example, Russia in the East using migration as a weapon to destabilize European countries. You also have to understand that, for example, I will give you this example. In my town, I live in a relatively big town for Portugal, at least, not for a lot some places, but for Portugal, it's a large town, and we have, I don't know, around all year long, around 20,000 people. Okay, and in the last 10 years, instead of 20,000 people, we now have 10,000 people that just sleep here and that work in the nearby industrial area. This has been an absolutely stress over the services, and we need to provide healthcare, food, lodging for all of these people. And I will give you another example. My nephew, my oldest nephew, he's married. He has a little boy right now. Him and his wife, they are both working, and they cannot find a house in our town. They cannot even find a house, in her town, which is that town where everybody is working, because there are no houses available. They have gone so far as to go back around 50 or 100 kilometers inland to find places in towns and villages to lodge people. And this cannot continue this way. Reason why the Portuguese government just recently altered the immigration policy in order to control this and to say, if the person has a job, if the person has some place, somewhere to stay waiting for them, the immigration process is quick and it's done. Okay, if you come here, you have your job, you have a place to stay, you are settled, all good. But we cannot accept people that enter with a tourist visa and then try to stay in the country by finding a job, because that is a stress over the services. And again, I will repeat this again because people need to understand this. This has nothing to do with, for example, someone that is in peril of being assassinated because of their religion or whatever, of their skin color, and they need a place to hide or a place to settle because they cannot settle in their own country. Those people are an entire different subject. Don't mix them in with this, because I know the far right and the far left are going to try to use this as an excuse to make those talking points. And I for myself, I cannot accept that, because I think that is absolutely wrong. Now we are going to watch another video from Euronews, which explains a bit more of this in detail, and I think that it's important for us also to watch. Let's watch.
The man of the hour, the European Commissioner for Migration, Magnus Brunner, in exclusive comments to Euronews. I put to him, the first question that I asked him was about this division. I asked whether migration was a problem or an opportunity for Europe.
It's both, I would say. It used to be a problem, definitely. 10 years ago, we did take a lot of responsibility as a European Union, but we didn't have a system. We didn't have the rules, the fitting rules, and we didn't have control over what is happening in the European Union. So it used to be a problem. It became a problem, but it can also be an opportunity in the future. If we have control, if we manage to fight the illegal migration, then there is room.
Can you explain how the Migration and Asylum Pact gives the control back to the 27 EU member states?
Yeah, we have firm but also fair new rules. This is the first time we have actually a comprehensive system, a European-wide comprehensive system with better border controls, border checks at the external European border, asylum procedures at the border, being more efficient, effective, quicker also with the asylum procedures. So it's a whole set of new rules, of reforms also.
Do you think Europe is ready for the change in mindset?
Of course it is, and we are ready to do the reforms, and we have to bring our European house in order. That's the first thing. That's what we're doing with the reforms, and the next step will be to get more engaged with third countries outside the European Union, to work together with them on readmission, for instance, on returns also. And that's where we have to put the leverage we have as a European Union on the table, always together with migration, be it visa policy, be it trade policy.
And if we look at the most up-to-date data from the European Commission, only 29% of individuals that were ordered by the courts to go back to their country of origin were actually deported. Is the EU Migration and Asylum Pact the silver bullet that will fix this?
It's not about the asylum pact, actually. That's about the return regulation. And the return regulation will improve the situation, of course, as well, because, as you said, it's just not acceptable. It's only one out of four at the moment who have no right to stay in the European Union are being returned. So that's why we have the return regulation. That was a missing piece from the pact, actually.
Pope Leo is visiting the Canary Islands. This is a major Spanish migration hotspot. He received a standing ovation from the Spanish Parliament earlier this week, calling for love and dignity for some of the most fragile individuals. Do you think that the views of the Pope in terms of migration are compatible with Brussels?
Definitely yes, I would say. I had the chance to meet the Pope myself some months ago, and I had a conversation with him exactly on that topic. And yes, of course, I mean, human dignity, international law, this is all in the center also of the reforms. We're not negotiating about these facts. That is really important for us also as lawmakers, as a European Commission altogether. And we have set standards also, and we have to differentiate between illegal migration, where we have to do everything to fight against, because it's about the business of the smugglers and the human traffickers, and legal migration as a second part. And the third part is protection, of course, and that's where the Pope comes into play. We have to do everything, and we have a responsibility also as a European Union to protect those people whose life is under threat in their home countries. And that's what we try to do. Fighting illegal migration, pathways for legal migration, and of course protection.
Right. As you can see, Mr. Brunner, he was talking about what I was saying before I showed you the video. People need to understand, please, that this has nothing to do with the political protection of people. Hello, Billy Kershaw. My friend, no worries. Okay, no worries. Okay. If you want to, please watch the stream back and take a look at it. Look, my friends, well, just before I go to the analysis of the video, I'm doing this. I'm not doing it for money. I'm doing this because I want to, because I think I have an ethical responsibility to do it, to talk with you, to talk with people, to give a perspective that's sometimes another perspective on a subject, and trying to just help people. Okay, I'm not doing this because I want to make money out of this channel. Okay, if I wanted to make a channel in which I would earn some money, I don't know, I would do AI reads or little videos or all of that crap that is flooding the internet right now, and on money. I'm doing this for political and ethical reasons. I want to talk with people about things. I want to do things like the videos, the subjects that I addressed in this video, that some of them have not been talked about by anyone, or at least in a way that I find it sufficient. When I choose my videos, I am careful to choose things that I think it's important to talk about. Okay, and then I rant, just like now. Now, let me just continue. What I'm trying to tell you is that we can see in the way that the Commissioner Brunner, he was talking about it right now, we can see that this is the position of Europe, meaning we need to control immigration because we need to have stability in our own countries. This is normal. But we are going to continue to help the people that need it. And why did I say in the beginning that this might be important for the United Kingdom? Because this will control the entries in Europe. Okay? This will siphon out a lot of the people that enter in Europe illegally and that then try to go to the United Kingdom. This policy, this change of policy, in the long run, will benefit the United Kingdom. But the key issue is that the United Kingdom will have to develop itself the mechanisms to take care of their own migrants. Meaning that if they escape this, let's call it, filter of the European continent, basically, and they arrive at the United Kingdom is going to have to find a way of dealing with people. And in my opinion, they either pay in to be a part of this system, that they could, or which would imply, which would imply, or which would intone, whatever you want, how I'm failing the expression, this will also entail that the United Kingdom would have to obey whatever the decisions are in this matter that the EU has now taken. But in the long run, it would benefit them. But that is another question. We need to make a video about it. Now, folks, let me see. I had a lot of videos to show you, but then I started to rant and I got a bit lost lost in myself. But now I'm going to show you another video that is talking about the way the EU is changing the internet. Honestly, this video is very interesting. It's a small one. It's not even for 4 minutes, but it's an important one. Let's watch it.
Have you ever scrolled through your feed and thought, why on earth am I seeing this? Or maybe bought something online that looked perfect on the picture, but arrived looking like, well, nothing like the photo? For a long time, big platforms made the rules and we could just agree. But that era is over. The Digital Services Act, or DSA, isn't just another acronym. Here's what is actually changing in your feed right now thanks to the DSA. 1. Popping the algorithm bubble. First, let's talk about the algorithm. You know that feeling when your feed feels a bit too accurate? Like it knows you? Or maybe it's pushing content that makes you angry just to keep you watching? Thanks to the DSA, platforms like TikTok and Instagram must show you exactly why they're recommending content. And here's the best part. In some platforms, you can finally turn off the mind-reading tracking and just see posts from the people you actually follow in chronological order. But also, if a post is removed or an account is suspended, platforms must tell you why. 2. Protecting kids and teenagers. Under the DSA, platforms must keep their houses in order and take measures to protect minors on their services. contacting kids from unknown accounts, proposing shocking content to kids, and weak age verification methods are very dangerous. But also, ads targeting minors are now banned, and risks of cyberbullying and illegal content must be mitigated by the platforms.
I've been hearing a lot whenever I play games. I've been seeing online dating. I've been seeing bullying.
People who say that like, for example, they're 12 years old, but instead they're like 20 years old.
I started with social media when I was 14. I was scrolling for hours and hours, like doom scrolling. Important time got wasted for me.
But the DSA is also protecting the rest of us, the not that young ones, from dark patterns. Platforms shouldn't design their way into addictive behavior nor into your wallet anymore. 3. The end of secret sellers. Then there are fake products. Marketplaces now have to know their business customers. They must verify who is actually selling you that gadget or shirt. They must ensure the sellers on their site are traceable. No more ghosts. 4. The enforcement. Now, I know what you're thinking. Do these giant companies actually care about these rules? Well, they have to. We're not asking politely.
The Commission has issued a fine of 120 million euro to X. The Commission is launching an investigation into Snapchat. Today, Temu has received a fine.
Recently, Temu was fined 200 million euro for allowing dangerous products on its marketplace. But also, TikTok, Facebook, and Instagram are being investigated to ensure they protect minors from endless rabbit holes of content. AliExpress is now making its ads and recommendations more transparent. Shein is being investigated for addictive design, gamification, and selling illegal products. AI image generator Grok is under scrutiny for potentially enabling illegal content creation.
We do not have to accept children being drawn into ever more extreme content. We do not have to accept that girls and women have their photos used for AI-generated sexualized images. It is us who decide our rules, not the tech companies.
The internet is a public space, just like your town square. It now comes with rules that protect you. That's the DSA, rules designed to protect us, our children, and our choices online. Have you noticed these changes in your apps yet? Let me know in the comments which feature you're most excited to see. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel.
Right. This video, there will also be a link in the description. This video is from the European Commission, directly from their site right here in YouTube, that you can go through. I would advise you that if you want to keep up on the changes of regulation in the EU, to keep an eye on the EU's Commission channel, because they talk about a lot of important things, especially in their lives, and this is very important. Now, have I noticed a change? Well, I don't do a lot of social media, but I have noticed it here in YouTube. I sometimes use a net blocker whenever I'm watching YouTube. I just unuse it, so to speak, when I'm watching a video, the videos of a content creator that I subscribe to, because I know that if I use a blocker, it will cut into their profit, so to speak. But I have noticed that the type of ads that were appearing, they changed completely. There were coming some shit was coming up in my algorithm. I don't know why. Maybe because I do my investigations for my videos, and in the early stages of my, let's call it, creation of contents, I was not using a pseudonym or going incognito, so it's natural that some things would pop up in my feed, like right-wing bullshit, to be more precise. But this is important, and this is another blow in the American media companies, because you see, this is not like the United States or the UK. I'm so sad to say it, okay? In the UK, they talk a lot, they decide a lot, but then it has no practical effects. And in the United States, you pay someone, or you donate. I'm not going to say pay, because that will mean they are corrupt. Okay, I need to keep it clean. But you give a donation to a key issue, just like in the key person, sorry, just like in the United Kingdom, and well, they just forget about it. But here, no, because here it's all the countries deciding this as a unit. So this means that the number one, the fines are effective because they cut into their profit, and they are cumulative. This is an expression from Portuguese, yes, from European law, which means they add up. Meaning, when you have one issue, they will sort of give you a fine just a warning shot. At the second time, they will make it hurt. And at the third time, you might get banned from the market. This is how things work, okay? There is no joking around. And then you can say, oh, but then you won't have the products and this and that. Well, so what? Other providers will replace them. And most important than that, people, companies that want to invest and work in Europe know, the companies that are investing, they know, if I invest here, there is a strong regulation, there is a strong market, and I can safely invest here because I know they are true to their words. This is the first thing and the most important one. And the second one is this: bad actors that want to try to enter in our market to profit here, just like the Americans are doing to their own people in the United States, they know they are going to hit a wall and that they are going to have a lot of issues. And to me, this is the best part, because this means that Facebook and X and all of that, look, they have a doomed existence. If they carry on this way, I said this in another stream, and I will also repeat it here. These American companies, they are either going to split their business, so to speak. So, for example, you will have a YouTube specifically for Europe, for the EU. In this case, I don't know how they will deal with the United Kingdom. If the United Kingdom does not align with Europe, they will treat they will treat the United Kingdom like they are treating, telling them to okay, and they continue to do whatever the hell they want. They are going to have to split their business and to adapt to markets, just like they had to adapt, for example, to the Chinese market. Okay, this is simple, and this is the only way I see in the future platforms like YouTube, for example. We are talking in it right now. This is the only I see platforms like YouTube to be able to continue to exist in the future, because if they continue with this method of trying to impose the same business models that they have in the United States into Europe, they are going to get kicked out of the market. As simple as it. Just like the car makers. Okay, only Ford, for example, it was the only American car maker that was able to adapt itself to the European market. All the others failed. Why? Because they didn't want to change their business model. The same thing happened to fast food chains, McDonald's, KFC. They altered their business model to exist in Europe. Walmart, for example, they didn't want to alter their business market, and the practical result was they ceased to exist in Europe. I don't even know if there is a Walmart in Europe. Amazon, they have been fined a lot, and they are adapting their business model to Europe. And like person impersonator is saying here in the chat, and very rightfully so. Sorry, folks, getting a bit tired. Been doing this for 2 hours and 9 minutes. Good God, I rant. Brexit shafted the UK, so we have no power versus the USA in the way the EU has leverage. Yes, exactly. But the problem that I have with all of this person impersonator is this: the UK was offered to participate in all of this, and instead of seriously listening to what was being told, saying you have to contribute with this amount of funds for the flagships, okay? You have to apply these regulations, and if you do this, you can align with us and get more business and even get that protection of being outside of the pack. The UK was offered this, and you want to know what the answer was? They countered with cherry picking. I shit you not. At first I thought this was just maybe the media was exaggerating it or whatever, but then I read the statements by the EU Commission itself that was negotiating this. Look, it's I don't want to go into details because it would take a long time, but it's as simple as this. The EU said, for example, look, in order to be a part of this, you have to be in a threshold of minimum 10 billion investment, 10 billion to 20 billion. Imagine this. The EU says this. The minimum is 10 billion, okay? You have to go at least 10 billion now so that you can be a part of this, because you need to fund yourself, your position in the mechanism, in the flagship. Let's call it like this, because it's easier to understand. And the answer of the UK was, no, we offer 1 billion. This was the type of answer that the UK gave. And we don't want this, and we don't want that. We can use this, but we can't use that. Now, tell me this. You are negotiating with someone else to enter in their house, and you are dictating what you will do in that person's house. And I don't understand. You know, I used to think that Starmer was a bit more competent than he is. Right now, I don't think that. He has done a couple of good things. The military alignment with Europe, even if flimsy, is an important thing. Okay, and no one in this chat can deny that United Kingdom has given a lot of support to Ukraine. No one can deny that, and if anyone tries even to say that, I will call him a liar, and I will tell him to shut up. Oh, the UK military isn't nothing. Shut up. The UK military may be weakened by Brexit, by all of this shit, but it's still a very strong military force to be reckoned with. So let's not go into that. But I'm talking about the politicians and the economics. And the truth is this: the UK could be a part of all of this, even without being inside of the EU. And you know, we are told a different story, but who knows the truth? Well, person impersonated. This is my perspective, okay? As I said, I want you to fact check me, and if you can, go to the European sites of the EU itself. It's in English, okay? And go and read up on how the negotiations took place. It's the only thing I can say. But am I 100% sure that this is the truth? If I said this, I would be a fucking liar. I don't lie. I'm telling you what I read, what I saw, and I'm also telling you this. Fake news and misinformation is a very dangerous thing to do in the EU. It's a crime. Okay, you don't just get a little fine, you may go to jail. This is the consequences that we have here. And I ask you this: what are the consequences that people in the UK, the politicians, not the people, there I go confusing things again, okay? What are the consequences for politicians and right-wing media, like you were saying here? What are the consequences that they may suffer in the United Kingdom? because here there are true consequences. After that episode that I was talking about, that Israeli delegation that went to talk with our parliament, with the president of our parliament, that story that I told you, I told here in this stream. After that, the prime minister himself had to come into the news. I don't know if it was the prime minister or if it was one of the ministers, came immediately to say what the Israelis were discussing, what they were talking about, and everything, out in the open. And it had to do. They wanted support. I think they wanted support from Portugal, in what the EU is deciding in sanctioning Israel. This is basically what they came here to try. What they tried to do. And I know this because I watched it. Okay. It is, look. Please understand this. When I'm talking with you about a subject, when I'm presenting you my opinion, let's call it like this, or my analysis of a situation, I'm doing so based on what I have, what I know. And I can also tell you that I don't just grab a single source of information and go with it. I'm not that kind of person. I'm the kind of person that I will, for example, like you saw here in this stream, you have Euronews, you have France 24, you have the European Commission, and I think I also had one from the European Parliament, but I think I didn't show that one because it's a bit longer and I will need a separate stream to talk about it. And I also went into the opposite side and saw their side. I told you, I spoke about what I saw in the democratic YouTuber sites and what they were telling and all of that. Because I go there. And this is what I'm trying to do, okay? But I will say, and I will repeat this again, fact check everything. Okay? Use your own mind, use your own reason, because we are all different people. We all have a different story. We all have a different perspective. And to me, my opinion is the truth is found in the middle. And the truth is this, about these negotiations, the Commission was not being inflexible. They were not just standing there and say, no, 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 no. No, they gave a threshold. This is why I gave that example of 10 billion to 100 billion, whatever. The example that I used. This is what was given to the United Kingdom. Look, you can invest in this amount. You have to contribute this amount up to this amount. And then you have to apply the same regulations that we are applying to our, I will reinforce this statement, our mechanism. You want to be a part of it. It goes from here to here and implementing this. And the UK started, I'm being a bit simplistic, sorry, but I'm trying to explain this in a simple way. And the UK started. 10 billion, oh, that's too much money. Okay, I'm being sarcastic. Okay, but they said something like 10 billion. Oh, no, 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 we can only offer 1 billion. And what? We need to allow this and that. No, 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 we cannot allow this or that. We can do this or that, but we cannot allow this or that. And this is not a negotiation, because you have a created mechanism that has rules to function. Like, for example, this video I was talking about the migration issue. They had to come and regulate it because it was not working properly. And it's an organic process. It's something that evolves, and it needs to have pre-made concepts to reach that proper function. What am I trying to say? Look, it's like a car that must have gasoline, If it's a gasoline car, okay, it must have water, brakes, a windshield, a driving wheel, okay, something to put in the clutches, okay. You understand what I'm trying to say? And the UK said, no, my car, no, we will not contribute to the brakes of the car. Okay, no, so much money for gas. No, we will not contribute with so much money for gas. This is basically what happened. Yes, Billy Kershaw. This is why trusted content creators are so important. Most people don't have the time to fact check everything, and you have to do it. I make a stream. Look, sometimes I'm trying to make more videos, but sometimes I am unable to do so many videos because I'm working all week. Basically, I work from Monday to Friday. This is my normal working period. Okay, I get out of my house around 8 o'clock in the morning. I go to work and I'm working the entire day. Sometimes I clock out, let's call it like this, at 5. Sometimes I clock out at 6. Sometimes I might even clock out at 7. According to the level, I'm not, as I said before, I explained the reasons why I don't want to talk about my work. It's because of my work. I cannot talk about it. And sometimes I don't have the time to invest properly into a video. Okay? To read up on things, because like I told you before, my process is this. I seldom write things. Sometimes I have a little note or something like that, but today, when I was making this stream, I know I'm being a bit boring, but let me just explain how I did it. I knew what I wanted to talk about. So in the morning, after I got up, I went to grab my coffee, I went to do some errands, okay, do whatever I needed to do. And then I came and I said, look, I want to talk about this, and this. These are the things that I think are important. And I put them in here. And then I see what sources am I going to use. Right. Let's watch the American content creators and the American media. Let's see what they are talking about this subject. For example, as we were talking about Trump and this entire situation and the Middle East and the Middle East. Yes, the Middle East. I didn't talk a lot about the Middle East, but the Hormuz Straits and all of that. I went and watched. Then I went to Euronews, I went to France 24, and I went to our national news agencies. Okay, this is how I made my process. And as I was doing it, I was fact checking it here. This is how I work. Okay, I'm sorry, this is my way of doing things. And then I reproduce them to you. And I use the videos so that we know what we are talking about, because it's easier to see a video. And I know that those videos are trustworthy. This is the look. I did, for example, when the girl right now, she was talking about the internet and all of that, I did not agree 100% with her. But I know this is what the EU is doing because I read what the Commission is saying, and I heard Ursula von der Leyen talk about it. You can go right now. I'm going to leave you a link to this video of the European Commission. But if you type in European Commission in YouTube, it will send you to their site, to their video, to their channel, and you can watch it live. But it's easier for me to present you this video that is a resume of what they were deciding. It's easier for me to present this to you and explain it to you this way, because you will understand this far better than watching the discussion that I think it was around 2 hours or something like that in the European Commission live. Okay, and look, and this is just a brief explanation on how I do things so that there are no misunderstandings. Okay, but again, I will repeat this: fact check me. Please fact check things. And if I'm wrong, correct me. Because look, any content creator, and now I'm going to be a bit preachy, but I'm going to tell you this: any content creator that says I am right, you are wrong, you are absolutely wrong, unless we are talking about something as simple as the trolls that drop into my stream sometimes. Luckily, they haven't come too much in the stream, but that drop into the comment section of my videos and say things like Brexit means Brexit, you are telling lies. Unless it's one of those little shits or bots or autobots or those that try to twist my words, because English is not my native language and sometimes I make mistakes and it's natural, and I think people are able to understand what I'm saying from the context of the conversation. Unless it's one of those guys or girls or whatever the hell they are, bots, if a person might say something that I don't fully agree with them, a person might say something that I don't fully agree with them, or I don't agree at all, and I even will, but if that person is right, I will say thank you and correct myself. Like people constantly correcting me when I called the United Kingdom a country. People keep telling me it's not a country, it's a union. And I understand they are right, I am wrong. But from our perspective here, sometimes we even refer to the entirety of the United Kingdom as England. I'm talking about Portugal. We say Inglaterra, which means basically means England, or Terra dos Ingleses. Or land. Sorry, I went back. Inglaterra means the land of the English. Okay, and I had this cultural predisposition that didn't mean anything. Okay, I fully understood before that the United Kingdom is a union of countries: Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, in England. I understand that. Okay, but our way of translating that into our own language is a unitary word that has a completely different translation to England, to the United Kingdom, and calling it a country when it's a union. This is a simple saying, a simple example to explain to you how I work. That's all. Sorry, exotic doll. Hello, and if you go back to the beginning of the stream, I talk about the riots in Belfast. Okay, I did talk about it. Anyway, thank you for coming. Now, folks, I have been streaming for 2 hours and 28 minutes and now 20 seconds. I'm tired. I need to have my dinner. All right, so I'll be ending this stream now. Thank you very much to all for coming here, for giving your time to me, to listen to my rants and to listen to what I had to say. I thank you very much, and I wish you all, man, have a great weekend. News. I'm going to drop a couple of videos. I'm going to drop one video that you don't need to watch. I'm making a couple of new atmospheric sounds and music, and I'm going to publish them. All right, but you don't need to listen to them. They are just my usual tomfoolery. And I'm also going to try some new formats that I will talk about. I will post it as I make them. So, folks, I appreciate all of you. Please have a great weekend. And Exotic Doll, don't forget, go back to the beginning of the stream. I talk about the riots. All right? Folks, stay safe. Okay? Thank you all for coming.